So unfortunately, Pikmin 4 is the kind of game that I think a lot of people are going to sleep on. Just because it's not the kind of game, you know, the flagship sort of games such as Zelda or such as, you know, Mario or different things like that, right? Animal Crossing, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Pikmin seems to be the kind of game that a lot of people just maybe are either unaware of, or they just don't understand it, or, you know, maybe they don't know what on earth this game even is. So I'm going to try to go through a little bit of what Pikmin 4 is. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I never played Pikmin 1 or 2. The first Pikmin I ever played was 3, and it wasn't even the original 3. It was 3 Deluxe on the Switch. That was the first one I ever played. So when they announced 3 Deluxe, I played it. I had a lot of fun. I got into the whole Pikmin world. I understood, okay, this is what the game's about. I kind of understand. That said, if you're a long-time veteran that's looking for a review that compares to the first 3 games, that's not what this is going to be. It's just my experience with Pikmin 4, kind of in an isolated scenario, right? And keep in mind that this isn't going to go into, you know, 100% completion kind of idea. I did not do 100%, but what I did do is both the ending and the true ending. So kind of a mild spoiler. Once you get the credits rolling, there's another section to the game afterwards, which again, I'm not going to go into what it is because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But that part has another kind of chunk of stuff to do that's a little bit harder than the stuff that's before the credits. It's not extremely harder, but it was more challenging. Now, am I a great Pikmin player? I don't necessarily think so, but I enjoy Pikmin quite a bit. And Pikmin 4, you know, let's start with the obvious, okay? The obvious stuff. So the visuals and the music are phenomenal. There's nothing really more to say about that. It looks great, very vibrant, very, you know, beautiful to look at. It's very appealing. You know, again, you look at all the different Pikmin, you can look at the artwork, look at the trailers, you can kind of get a sense of what, you know, visually you can expect. Musically, very relaxing, chill music for the most part. Obviously, some of the boss fights, the music gets a little bit more intense, but a really good soundtrack. I mean, Nintendo is known for that, right? They have great art, and they have a great soundtrack always. I mean, that's just what they're great at it. I don't think they've ever made a bad soundtrack, and even artistically, even if it's not your cup of tea, you know, arts, you know, style wise, I think almost everything they've touched has always been really cool artistically as well. Again, that's just me. I may be biased. In terms of the gameplay itself, this game introduces this thing called Night Expeditions, which it kind of switches up the flow of the game a little bit. So this is going to be something you're going to experience throughout your story, and it's going to be something that you're going to have to do at least you know, a handful of, at least minimum. You can do more of them if you want to, and they're really cool because they introduced the glow Pikmin, which was revealed in the trailer, and it's kind of more of like a defend an area style thing. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's kind of that sort of thing for, you know, a set amount of time, right? One of those sort of things. So it kind of changes your typical formula. Now, if you don't know what the typical formula is, well, I'll get into that as well. So the game has a few different locations that you can explore. When you go to these locations, they're kind of, you know, different worlds that you can kind of see, you know, different environments, you know, thematically and whatnot. You know, maybe one's more of like a garden looking sort of area. Another one is more looking like sort of like a beach looking area, just for example, right? And in these areas, there's typically a bunch of different things you can do. You can find, obviously, brand new kinds of Pikmin. So if you don't know anything about Pikmin, basically there's different colored Pikmin, and they kind of also look different as well. And they all have different sort of strengths and weaknesses, right? So for example, the red Pikmin are great with dealing with fire. They can't get burnt. Then the yellow Pikmin are great with electricity, for example. And then there's like the light blue Pikmin, and they're good at ice. So if you throw them at enemies, they can build up this sort of like ice damage that eventually freezes the enemy for a set amount of time, and it allows you to get some extra kind of damage in. Now, this game would be classified, I guess, as a real-time strategy adventure kind of game, if that helps you kind of classify it generically at all. Just trying to figure out, you know, well, what kind of game is this? Again, if you don't know anything about Pikmin, I'm trying to think of as many people as possible in this scenario. So there's that. Now, the one thing that each location is split off into is you have like the location, right? When you go to the location, the thing that makes it a real-time strategy kind of game is there's kind of a time limit, right? So you got to get back to base before it's nighttime. If any of your Pikmin are outside of the base before nighttime, then you're going to lose them. Now, of course, Pikmin can die as well if you're in the middle of a fight with any kind of enemies. Depending on the enemy, they can kill your Pikmin. Unfortunately, it's very sad. And you can get brand new Pikmin. Typically, you start with so there's going to be a thing called an onion, and it typically starts red, which is, the red Pikmin are base Pikmin. And at any given base, you're going to find these sort of things that these flowers that have like in the middle, there's like a number on them. So if there's like a 1, you throw 1 Pikmin at it, and that Pikmin will grab that, flower bud, if you will, bring it back to the base, and it'll create another Pikmin. If there's a 5, then you need 5 Pikmin to carry it, and it'll bring it back to the base. And again, you'll be able to get 5 Pikmin out of it, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the idea. You got a dog in this game, which is really cool. So the dog has a bunch of different abilities as well. The dog you can actually upgrade as you kind of progress through the game. You can upgrade it to have stronger attacks, that it can be stronger to carry things. So it can be the equivalent of, like, let's say up to 20 Pikmin. So if there's a certain item you have to carry back to base, it typically would cost 20 Pikmin. Then you have the dog, which can carry a bigger chunk of that, right? If you will. Dog is really cool. You can ride it around and stuff, makes traversing a little bit better. All the Pikmin kind of latch onto the dog, which makes it a little bit better, so they're not just like grouping up following you, and they're actually latched onto the dog, and it's a little easier, in my opinion. So there is that side of it as well. There's a bunch of different upgrades you can unlock that can really help you out. Different kind of items as well, such as bombs and different things like that. Freezing bombs, explosive bombs, different things like that that can help you fight enemies, and all that good stuff. Obviously, different abilities to more easily track treasure and whatnot. Now, I don't want to spoil anything in regards to the story itself, but the story, basically, you got to find some castaways. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so you got to find some castaways, and it's going to progress you through the story. And you'll see how it kind of goes, and you'll end up meeting familiar faces at some point if you've played past Pikmin games, and it's just really cool in that regard as well, obviously, because there's that familiarity. There's also other things, like, again, I'm not sure if past Pikmin games had this. I don't remember 3 having it. I never played 1 or 2, but there's these materials you can get. You can exchange them for the items we just talked about. But you can also use them in certain locations to build certain things out of clay, like bridges and stuff like that. So that's really nice. There's that kind of extra element. And so in each of these locations, they're split up into kind of, like I said, 2 main sections. You got your main area where the time is ticking down, right? But in said location, there's also a bunch of caves or caverns you can find. And you enter those and time freezes, so time does not proceed. And, at first there's only going to be like 1 level to these caves, but some of the later caves will have multiple levels, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, right? And, there's a bunch of treasure, a bunch of enemies to fight down there. There's, often you can find castaways down there, a bunch of different things like that. My biggest gripe is that there's so many caves in the game. It almost feels like it was too much focus on the caves. I loved the element of the caves. I would not want them to not exist, but I felt like there was a little bit too much of a focus on them personally, just my personal taste. But the caves are really fun. They add some really great puzzles. And again, in the normal overworld of each location, again, some great puzzles that get increasingly difficult as you progress and go to unlock another location, another. As you unlock the further kind of locations in the game, the puzzles will get a little bit trickier, because now you're getting a little bit more adjusted. You got more Pikmin unlocked, and again, just like past games, there are a variety of different colored Pikmin, and you're gonna have to utilize these different colored Pikmin for different scenarios, different enemies, fighting against different bosses, different scenarios. Obviously, if there's water blocking your way, you're going to want to think, oh, okay, well, maybe I need water Pikmin, or maybe I need something else, freezing element. I don't know. There's different things, right? You got to use your head and really kind of think these puzzles through. And I had fun with these puzzles. Some of them were quite basic, and they still felt satisfying, but they got me kind of into the flow of things. And some of them were a little bit more advanced. There's a lot to this. There's a whole tablet that you can open up. There's obviously a map that you open up, and there's a tablet menu where you can check stuff like your radar map, your status report, gears and skills, voyage logs, history and stats, you know, different things like that. Your missions, you know, there's side missions, there's main missions. So you get a little bit of everything, right? There's a little bit of all that, and doing the side missions will get you some resources that you can then use to unlock some other stuff as well. Like I said, some of the items that we were talking about, and some, you know, upgrades, some gear. Basically, you can get some gear. You can unlock some gear that can be very helpful. You know, maybe extra defense, so you know, you have more HP, for example. Different things like that. So there, you know, there's not a lot I want to really say, because I don't want to spoil too much. I want to leave some of it to sort of the element of surprise and the element of discovering it for yourself. But all in all, the game was a real joy to play. I had a lot of fun. If you have any specific particular kind of questions, leave them down in the comments below. Again, I'm trying to be as thorough as possible without being spoilery, right? And again, you know, being a Pikmin game, this is my first Pikmin game that I'm reviewing. I didn't review Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and I didn't play the first two games. So keep that in mind. I'm trying to just give you guys a little bit of knowledge about what you can expect from the game. But like I said, you got the dog, which is really nice. You got various Pikmin. There's different kinds of mechanics, you know, push, pull sort of mechanics, and things like that. A variety of different things that if you played past Pikmin games, you'll probably be familiar with, and some stuff that even if you did play the past games are brand new. Again, the environments are a lot of fun. They're such a joy alongside with the music. Things do get a lot more challenging, especially as you progress kind of, you know, post credits, you know, side of the game. You start doing some of the later locations. Things can get a little bit more challenging, but for well-versed Pikmin veteran players and fans, you might not have any trouble whatsoever. Maybe I'm just bad, and so it was more of a challenge to me. From what I heard, it's on the easier side. It's not. I didn't play Pikmin 2. I heard Pikmin 2 is very challenging. It's not challenging to that realm. So if you want something like that, it's not that challenging, but it definitely felt more challenging than Pikmin 3 from what I remember. So take it as you will. Like I said, I really enjoyed my time with it. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments below. But what would I rate this game? I think I would have given it a 9, but because there was a little bit too much emphasis on the caves, again, reviews are subjective. I'm gonna give it an 8.8. I think this is a fantastic game. It's worth playing if you have a Nintendo Switch. I think it's a shame that a lot of people will end up sleeping on this game, and I think you should check it out. There's a demo, so if you have a Nintendo Switch, play the demo, check it out. You know, try to get accustomed to what Pikmin is if you never played a Pikmin game, or if you have, you know, just kind of see what Pikmin 4 has to offer. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with this game, and I think you would too, honestly. It's just kind of one of those more chill, relaxing games, unless you get to the kind of more challenging parts. Then it can get a little stressful, but for the most part, it's just chill, relaxing. It's just a real joy. So I had a lot of fun. I recommend it. And again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Stick around for more Nintendo content here on the channel. We streamed the entirety of this game here on Nintendo, the Nintendo channel on YouTube, as well as multi-streamed it over on Kick also. So a lot of fun. Great game. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Until the next one, game on. See you guys soon.